y'all ready for this?
Hey guys, this is djWHEAT from the Championship Gaming Series Online, and we've got two 2008 North American regular season matches to recap you guys on. These were two non-televised matchups, and the first match was Dallas versus Chicago. The second matchup was Los Angeles versus Carolina. The first matchup was the Dallas Venom versus the Chicago Chimera, and the first game was Forza Motorsports 2. It was really an easy victory for Chicago. Jason X took the lead early, held on to it the entire race, and Chicago walked away with an easy 6-1 win in Forza Motorsports 2 to make the overall score 6-1. Although it was 6-1 for Chicago going into the second game, Jax and the Dallas Venom had something up their sleeves. Dead or Alive was back-to-back female first and then male, so we saw Phoenix taking on Kasumi-chan. Now, Phoenix has been very strong, even though she was 5-0'd by Cool's Villa since her win over Vanessa. Tonight, she showed a very, very good game versus Kasumi-chan. The score was 5-2. Phoenix looked very good and had no problem shutting it down for the Dallas Venom. That made the overall score 6-8, still in favor of Chicago. They started with Phoenix and Venom. Well, they had Master next up to bat, and he was going up against Chicago's Black Mamba. Now, in terms of Master staying undefeated in this season, I thought Black Mamba was going to be one guy that was going to give him a little bit of trouble, but Master is absolutely telling the truth when he says he wants to go undefeated this season. Master wins that matchup for the Dallas Venom 5-2 and knocks away all the lead that Chicago had. Suddenly, Venom is holding on to it 11-10. Next up was Counter-Strike Source, and as we all know here in the Championship Gaming Series, there can be a lot of points won in Counter-Strike Source. For Chicago, it would allow them to get the lead back. For the Venom, they were looking for a big victory to help them not only take the lead, but clinch the match, and that is exactly what they did. In a very impressive both CT and T side on DE New, Dallas Venom absolutely devastated their opponents 13-5, a very, very big victory for the Dallas Venom that ended up making the overall score 24-15 and made it impossible for Chicago to come back. Dallas is definitely taking second place seeding going into the North America playoff, and they clinched it thanks to their newly created and newly energized Counter-Strike Source team. That makes the score 24-15 going into our final game. The last game was FIFA, and although Chicago knew that they had already lost the match, Ifra was looking for a win for his team and hopefully getting a couple points because the point spread could come into play later on before the playoffs. Ifra did pick up a nice win over Barmoa 2-0. That made the overall score 24-17, and the Dallas Venom continues to impress as they head off to the playoffs. Next, we move on to Los Angeles versus Carolina. Los Angeles is still sitting in the league without a win, and they had a lot to prove against the Carolina Core because they needed the win to help them out in the playoff race. The first game was FIFA, and that put Cregan up against Anomaly. Now, Cregan has found some hit and misses throughout the season, unfortunately mostly misses, and this was also a miss for him here today. Anomaly got a goal late in the second half, and that was the only goal we saw all game. FIFA was slow and steady, but eventually every point does win the race, and that put Anomaly and the Carolina Core up ahead 1-0. Next up was Dead or Alive Female, where Core was really expecting Mystic to bring home a 5x victory over Bell. At this point, it didn't matter how many rounds Mystic gave up, she simply needed the win in order to help out the Core in the overall score. But Bell does what we were all waiting for her to do. After an amazing matchup, both players going back and forth, Bell finally took down her first opponent in Dead or Alive 4 Female, 5-3 over Carolina Core's Mystic. It was explosive celebration and cheering here as Bell finally picked up her first win in the Championship Gaming Series, and that made the overall point total 5-4. And in an unusual turn in events, we actually see Los Angeles ahead by 1. Next up was Counter-Strike Source, where once again Complexity could take a big lead and Core could bring it back in their favor with a solid performance by either Counter-Strike team. The map was DE Nuke and both teams played very, very well, but it was Complexity who came out on top. Not only did they win 11-7, but despite some game bugs that occurred during the matchup, there were a few rounds where Complexity actually played 4 versus 5 and still managed to pick up round wins. It was an amazing victory for Complexity and set Complexity up for the next 2 games, making the overall score 16-11 in favor of LA. With Los Angeles having a 5-point lead, Core was definitely not out of the game, and their racing team was up next. They were looking to shut down both GTO and Chavezan, the racers from Los Angeles Complexity. Although it was a very good race for Core, they did see Phantom out in 4th place position after a few collisions early on. Generally Live, however, took the lead and made the score 4-3 in favor of Core. They did manage to close that gap, but going into the final game, Los Angeles still had the lead 19-15. That set up a very interesting scenario between 2 dead or alive male players, Perfect Legend and Offbeat Ninja. Offbeat Ninja needed to 5-0 his opponent to guarantee a win for the Carolina Core. If Perfect Legend picked up 1 round, he would have tied the game, and 2 rounds would have clinched it for the franchise. Offbeat Ninja did get the 5 rounds he needed. However, Perfect Legend was definitely playing his game. He picked up 3 rounds and was able to clinch it for the Los Angeles Complexity 22-20, giving LA their first win. Not only do we see Belle finally pick up her first franchise win in Dead or Alive Female, but no longer is there a goose egg on the record of Complexity. They have picked up their first win of the season, and they looked ecstatic. So there you have it. Dallas and Los Angeles are your winners. I'm djWHEAT from the Championship Gaming Series Online, and log on for more coverage of the 2008 North America regular season on thecgs.com.